My name's Peggy Oberthier. I'm a medical intuitive based in Melbourne, Australia. I am so lucky today to have Lisa Wetsel. Some of you might already know her. She is a certified Akashic Records consultant who has been channeling the truth of the records for more than 2 decades. She's a gifted intuitive and spiritual teacher who lives from her heart and has a passion for helping others understand their connection to the universe, to their soul's purpose, and to humanity. She offers classes, readings at public and private events, as well as one-on-one sessions. And I am so fortunate because I just had a one-on-one session with Lisa and it felt so expansive and beautiful. And I can't wait to get into this deep dive with you right now to tell the audience to have a little bit more of an understanding of your background and how you came to be this amazing, gifted intuitive that you are.
Well, Peggy, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay, I guess the first question is how did you get into this journey of becoming an Akashic Records consultant?
It was completely by accident. I had no idea what I was getting into. I was a director of a massage therapy school, and in 2003, I had an instructor that she taught healing touch, and we started talking about the things that she did, and she mentioned the Akashic Records and asked me, "Have you ever heard of those?" It's like, no. Akashic Records, what is that? And so she kind of explained a little bit about it, and then she mentioned that she had classes, and she's like, "Do you want to take a class?" And I was like, "Well, sure, why not? That would be fun. Why not?" So I ended up taking about 10 classes, and it was something that apparently I was meant to do, and it just fell into place. So here I am. That was in 2003, and here we are in 2005. So,
Wow. Well, falling into it is a bit of a you're really sort of downplaying what you do because your skill set is so amazing. Like your connection is so pure. And the people who might know Lisa, she's also an amazing podcast host on YouTube. She's got a very, very popular YouTube channel, and you channel the information from the records on in a monthly transmission for the audience. Tell us how did you come about connecting to this particular aspect for the channeled good of the whole audience? How does that work for you? What is the process?
well, well, for me, it's pretty easy. It's well, again, it's being able to understand that, I've been doing this for so long, and actually being able to fine tune my the ability to receive information started in 1996. So, really going back to how long ago was that?
Oh, we don't like to
There we
talk
go.
about
Can't even do the
it.
math. But the thing about it is that I've learned how to tune in and to tap in and and understand, recognize my body and the signals and all of those things. But it didn't start in 2003. It actually started in 1996. And so I've been lucky and blessed enough to have had a lot of experiences along the road, being able to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and being able to get out of my own way and learn to let the information flow to me. So whenever I do a message or when I receive information, it's learning how to get quiet, recognizing that it's time to shut the mind off. For me, I can feel the energy come in. It kind of comes in as this weird little swish. And the second that it comes in, I have done this long enough to know to shut my mind off and get out of the way and let it come through and let it speak. So sometimes people don't understand how I can be having a conversation like this, and then all of a sudden I'm speaking their words, the master's words. But it's because I've been doing this long enough to recognize how to shift into it. So when I do a monthly message on my YouTube channel, it's just simply being able to ask the question of what does humanity need to know this month,
Hmm.
and allowing the masters to speak through me.
Okay, so that probably brings me to the next question is who are the masters and what are the Akashic records? Because I just realized that, I mean, I know what the Akashic records are, but our audience members might not necessarily know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let me start with what the Akashic Records are. And this is the way that it's explained to me. Basically, they call it, they're a holding tank for all information. It's, this holding tank holds every thought, every action, every memory, everything that is, including our blueprints, including the plans, of what is to happen as well. So not only does the Akashic field hold everything that's past, present, and future, all of the plans and all of these energetic components, it's also a field of guides, and those are our masters. And a lot of times people don't really understand how in depth our helpers are in the Akashic field.
Mm.
And the way that it was explained to me, that I think is the easiest way for our human minds to understand the role that the Akashic masters play, is that they are our guides. And the way that I was shown, that makes so much sense to me, is that, first of all, they showed me that our body is like an airplane. And within this airplane structure, we have a pilot. The pilot is the soul. So the pilot is what flies the plane, us. Well, whenever a plane needs to fly, they file a flight plan. Okay, so we know where they're going to, what the destination is, leaving from, where to go to. So the Akashic field holds these plans. So whoever, our guide that is holding the plan becomes the air traffic controller. So we've got this air traffic controller that's like, okay, here's the plan. And this is where Lisa Soul needs to go, and the things that she has to go through to get to where she's going. And as the controller is holding the plans, they also have all of the helpers to make sure that my airplane gets to where it's going, me and my human form gets to where it's supposed to go. And so, what the soul does within me is that it's like in constant contact with a control tower, and being able to send out stress signals. Oh, I need help. Send in the angels. We need some help getting my plane back on track, or whatever it is, to try to make sure that the plane is getting to where it needs to go. And so I think that a lot of people really don't understand the role that the Akashic Masters and what the Akashic Records actually play in our human form. And so the masters themselves are high. My guides are jumping in. I'm gonna let them explain it. They're high frequency beings that are in control of what is to happen, or what is to be eliminated in the way of the human's experience. We also want you to recognize that the masters are the controllers of all of the lower level guides that help and assist with the human nature, and how it needs to evolve, or what step it needs to take in order to complete its plan. Okay, does
Wow.
that answer the question?
Yeah, that does. That's an incredible answer. I love it. So I wonder, what are some of, I mean, I had a Akashic Records reading probably 2 years ago by a couple of different people, and it just came out as so cryptic. So what are some of the limitations, which was fine for me at the time. That's what my soul needed to hear. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder I mean, I'm sure people are asking you, like, they want their whole life plan. Tell me what I'm supposed to do, and I just need a recipe. But tell us, how do the records come through for clients to help them for their highest soul purpose? And yeah.
Well, I'm a little bit different than a lot of people, because I can actually be a little bit more specific. And again, whoever the receiver is, whoever the vessel is that's channeling the information, what I have learned is that the information that's provided to me is limited by what I can hold. Okay. So if my mind or my level of consciousness can't receive the full message, and it has to be limited to a certain capacity so that I can interpret it, then that's the way that it's going to be presented to me. And so
Yeah.
again, the other things that, we receive information differently. We all receive information differently. Psychics are more apt to see things in symbols, and then they have to interpret the symbols. So, we all receive information differently. For some reason, I receive it in a steady flow
Mm.
of words, and I don't know why I receive information the way I do. I have no idea. It just happens to be my gig. I don't know. And I've never really asked, but I do know that I've watched myself evolve, and where when I first started receiving messages, that the messages were a little bit more cryptic. They were where I was at that particular time.
Mm.
And as I've grown, the messages have become in more detail,
Mm.
and they can be more specific to what my client's asking. And it can be told as a story instead of me trying to interpret what one thing means. But also, I receive information and I can feel it in my body. I hear it and I can see it.
Mm.
So the guides may be coming in and saying something, and I see an image that helps to explain what I'm hearing.
Mm.
That way I can give more detail to the person that I'm seeing,
Mm.
talking to, that can help explain what the words mean. Because the records do have their own way of talking, and
Mm.
sometimes it can be a little bit cryptic in
Yeah.
being able to understand what they're saying.
So what are the most common questions that people ask you that you enjoy helping them to discover about themselves? So what are some of
Well,
the big ones?
yeah, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I mean, probably 95% of the clients that I deal with always ask, "What's my purpose?"
Yeah.
And it's fun to be able to give a person the understanding of what their purpose is from a spiritual aspect. Because a lot of us, we think that, my purpose is having a specific type of job. My purpose is being a mother or a father, or, it's my purpose is to give to others. My purpose is all of these things that the human construct has defined as what our purpose is. But then when the masters come in and they can help somebody see that your purpose is love.
Mm.
You're literally, it's your purpose is not a specific job. You have gifts, and you may have talents and things that you've brought in from different lifetimes in this particular lifetime, that help you to become more adapt to certain things. Like I have found that people that are in medicine and technology typically have brought that in from past lives, typically galactic
Mm.
lives, and that's very common, but that's not what their purpose is. Those are the knowledge and the wisdom that they came in here with. And it makes jobs easy because they already know it.
Mm.
But the true purpose of the soul is to grow, evolve, and to love. And what our job is in this particular lifetime specifically is learning how to love ourselves whole and completely,
Mm.
to become one with all things, to become these beings that understand the connectedness of all that is, and the wholeness and the completeness of who I am. And my capacity as a human is the fullest dimension of love.
Mm.
But we have been so brainwashed to believe that we're exactly the opposite of that.
Mm.
And so for me to be able to help people understand, no, your purpose is to love. Love yourself, number
Mm.
one. Love
Mm.
everything that we're connected to. But it's not meant to sacrifice myself for others,
Mm.
and limit myself to other people's belief systems. And
Mm.
sometimes that's a little hard for people to hear
Oh
because they've
yeah.
never been told that before.
Yeah. It really is sort of the opposite of, the way we've been brought up in Christianity. And it's like, you have to love your neighbor and give and be these sort of self-sacrificing martyrs. And I feel I have the same conversations with my clients as well, Lisa. It's like the information comes in to, yeah, you've just got to love yourself and be love, that so you mentioned some past life stuff and some galactic stuff. So tell me how that, how do you access that information around the galactic, and how does it help a client to step into who they might want to be? Because I'm sure a lot of
Well,
people are saying, "What planet am I from?" Yeah.
yeah, and again, I don't know how it comes through. It just does.
That was probably a dumb question. Yeah.
The answer, I don't know. It just comes to me. But again, like when I'm in somebody's Akashic records, when I'm in there in that field, then I do have access to our history and experiences that we've had. Um, but again, I've got a little bit of a galactic connection myself, and that information comes through me. So it's kind of like sometimes I go back and forth with channeling two different between the Akashic Masters and the Lyran Council. So it's, so when it kind of it goes back and forth. But again, everything that is tied to your soul is held in that field. So it does provide information, of
Mm,
what, again, like you may be more connected to the Pleiadians than any other, and maybe the Pleiadians are affecting this lifetime more than a time that you may have spent on Andromeda.
mm,
And you may have different galactic connections. I think we all do. I think we're multiple species, but there may be one influence that you're connected to more in this particular lifetime than others. And that's typically what I get information from, what the main influence is in this particular
mhm.
lifetime.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Lyrens, and I also want to mention you don't just bring in information. There's some codes that are coming through as well. I felt so expanded when you actually spoke this incredible light language that came through. Do you want to share with the audience that process and what went on? And I'm happy for you to share exactly what if you can remember, because I know when you're
Yeah,
in the records.
yeah,
But
yeah. I don't always remember.
I know my heart space just like completely expanded. So I think I asked the question of like, what else from like is there anything holding me back
Yeah.
stepping into my true soul purpose or, what's holding me back? And then this incredible information and light language came through and my whole body just expanded and I had full body goosebumps and I was burping and so do you want to share with the audience what happens with that with the light language?
Yeah, again, it's interesting because it doesn't always happen in every session. And I think that, it's like, so I'm connected to the Lyrans, and what comes through is that when you asked me that question, what I saw was that you had a number of past lives that needed to be removed from your soul, and that's what was holding you back. And when I saw that, then the Lyrans came in, my guides came in and said we can remove that. So then at that time, again, it's like I'm going kind of back and forth between the masters, the records, and then when this form of energy knows that it can assist, then it comes in. And so what happened was that they came in. They always have to have your permission. They asked your permission if they could do their work. And then at that point, again, surrendering to whatever they have to do, I'm just the vessel. And they did their thing. And again, and I saw them, removing the what I experience is that I'm saying the words, they're just coming through me. And it does have that vibrational frequency. And what I'm hearing is encoding, and it has specific encoding that helps to assist the energetic process of removing or moving whatever is needed to shift in your physical body so that the light energy can come in and heal that space. And so what I was seeing for you is that it was like around your heart space, but within the heart space is also the soul. The soul and the heart are intertwined basically as one. And what I could see was that there was a bunch of look like little shadow figures, like you see the outline, like a little black body, but just the outline. And then the background was gray, and I could tell that it looked like it was damaged, like it was, I don't know how you'd want to call it, but like old tissue that turned gray or that had been, there's a word for it, but I can't think of the word right now. But
Mhm.
anyway, so what they did was they went in and they this kind of like they saw them scooping it out, and it was pulling out all of that old dead yuck stuff. and then smoothing it all out again, and then going up to your mind and removing whatever these things were tied to, and
Mm.
helping clear out your body. And then they're smoothed you out, and then smoothing out the energy so that the heart energy could come back, and then them embracing your heart and holding it and loving it and filling it with light, where they had to remove that damaged tissue,
Wow.
that damaged stuff.
So what do you
So
think caused that in a past life? What would have caused that damage in my heart, do you think?
it's specifically last past life traumas.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell you what's coming to me. They're saying we want you to recognize that the significance of past life traumas are 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 held within the heart and the soul's capacity to remember the events that have caused harm. So what we want you to see is that for you, you were specifically ready to release those events and those lives that were tied to the mind's memory of past pain and sorrow.
Mm.
So more likely what happened were these past lives were still embedded in your soul, and it was a pain, there were painful lives, that caused pain and sorrow, but they were triggering our belief system, your belief
Mm.
system,
Mm.
things that that made you feel small, or feeling traumatized, feeling that not only are you insignificant, but there's been times in your life that you may have felt like you've been attacked
Mm.
verbally more than less, and that you've had to hide from that stuff.
Mm.
And so what we did, I don't know. I mean, that's not me, that's them. What we did was we created a disconnection from the mind's pattern to the soul's memory, so that it would no longer be embedded in the mind's thought patterns, and that would soon be released and no longer be wired or connected to the heart's pain.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it completely makes sense. But
I know you
it's
understand because it's kind of work you do.
it's kind of what I do, but I love it
Yeah.
because as you go through your growth period and your expansion and I mean I'm sitting with clients every day and I'm just trying to work in my heart space, but you think about your next offerings and what you want to do next, and you kind of like, I'm thinking a bit small, or I'm struggling with like, yeah, all those kind of questions about self-worth, and which is what my soul signed up for.
Yeah.
So it's great to have just a little bit of extra cleaning happening, so that can just
Yeah.
help me with the surrender process, which is what you
Yeah.
highlighted for me. Um,
Yeah.
how hard is it for people to surrender? Because you must say this all the time.
Well, let's reverse the question, Peggy.
It's
How hard
hard,
to
Lisa.
surrender? I know it is. It is. It is. It is. And I understand. I mean, I've had to go through my own journey and recognizing how to learn and trust. But again, luckily, I've been doing this for a long time.
Mm,
And the past 2 years have been the most significant, because I transferred from, I was a realtor, and transferring from a job that I felt tied to, that I created the belief system that I had to overwork at. I had a
mm,
belief system that was tied to fear of money, not having enough.
mm,
And so I had this belief system that I had to work and work and work and work to
mm,
exhaustion, and that I better take everything that I can get because I don't know what's going to happen. Now, I had this belief system. I was a realtor for 18 years, but having this belief system that I basically living in fight or flight for
mm,
18 years, living in a form of fear, because what if? And because we're so conditioned to believe that you're supposed to worry about money. You're supposed to be fearful of not having enough. You're supposed to have a good resume. You're supposed to be the best at anything that you do. And again, those are my belief systems, because I wanted to impress my father. I wanted him to
mm,
be proud of me. So I had to be the top realtor. And I did. I was a lot of times, but it,
mm,
it cost me. It
mm,
cost me my body, exhaustion, physical health, lack of friends, lack of having fun because I was working all the time. And then, 2 years ago, I recognized that I don't want to do that anymore. And the universe I've been doing this work for a long time, and I actually made it a official business in 2020. And I just kind of skated along and did what I had to do. And I did this work on the side, but it wasn't my main job. But then I could feel that I'm really getting tired of real estate. I'm really getting bitter. I don't want to do it anymore. The universe makes us cut these ties. And then this perfect opportunity came up for me to where I was able to make this my livelihood now. And again, the way that the universe works. And what by being able to do this work on a daily basis, I was able to sit here and do sessions and watch myself unravel from fear, watch myself unravel from fear of lack, watch myself unravel from I got to create more. I have to do more advertising. I have to do more projects. I have to get more sessions. I got to create more events. I've got to, all the craziness that I was so conditioned to believe. Then by being still, literally being still, sitting in this chair, being still, recognizing all of the synchronicities that have come through my life and recognizing that I've always been provided for. I've always been cared for. And these miraculous events and these people that have come into my life exactly at the right time so that I could learn the lessons in order for me to be where I am today and be able to sit here and be solid in who I am. And this is really the point of learning how to let go and learn how to trust. Oh, I know that the universe is going to take care of me because why am I here right now? I see every single thing that brought me to where I am today, and a lot of it I didn't even have anything to do with. And I found that when I look back and my being in the fight or flight and the panic mode was all senseless. That all I needed to do was sit back and unravel my mind, sit back, take a deep breath, and let the universe work with me instead of me working against it or trying to push or force. And since I've learned how to do that surrender, it's been miraculous because now I see how everything has fallen into place. I see the synchronicity. I see what my guides and what the universe is creating for me because I've learned how to unravel my mind and stand in the wholeness and the completeness of what is right here, right now, which is not
Yeah.
easy to do, but it's
Mm.
we can do it. But
Mm.
you have to let go of the mind in order to
Mm.
trust and to believe that it can happen.
Mm. I absolutely love that. And you know what I also love? I think that you help people surrender because you have this information that just gives them this confirmation. It might just be a couple of things that you need to hear to just go, and I think some people can get over reliant on that, but then they can't trust themselves. Do you find that? Because I mean, it's quite addictive. Like I'm just like, I want another session tomorrow. I want to have like 20 more questions. I want you to tell me everything, and
Well,
so but at some
yeah.
point I did at the start of my journey, I was wanting readings all the time because I was like, please someone tell me like I'm going to be successful or I'm going to have clients or, or that what my gifts are. What are my gifts? What are my gifts? Um, so, part of the process for me is just going, okay, I've got to book less readings and just sit in my knowing.
And your
And
trust.
yeah.
Yeah, and I know this sounds a little bit crazy because I'm going to put myself out of work, but
You're
but
not.
it's funny because a lot of times when people ask me questions, I can see their face and I'm recognizing you already know this. And they're like, yeah, you're just confirming what I already know. And I was like, yeah, learn how to trust. I'm telling you what you already know. So this is the perfect opportunity for you to start trusting that you know and that you're doubting yourself. Now, when we get to that point, also recognize how we're growing in our independence. And I can look back and I can see because there's times that I feel like I'm losing it and I feel like I'm just spinning. I want somebody to help me because I can't do my own records because I'm too much in my head when I do my own on yours all day long. Anybody else? I don't mean to have problems, but when it comes to myself, and a
Mm,
lot of people are that way, I'm too involved. My
mm,
head is spinning and I can't get clear answers. So I have found that I've gone to other people and that they've helped me kind of get myself back in balance. But what the point is that we need some guidance sometimes. We need to figure out how to get back on track. Maybe we've felt like we're spinning and we don't know which direction to go. But we're going to all get to a point, and this is part of what this evolution is that we're moving to, is that we're going to learn how to get quiet. And when we learn how to get quiet, then you learn surrender and you recognize then that the path is clear for us. And what I have learned through all this process is stop trying to figure it out. It's so simple, and yet it's so hard. And my mind, what the records have always told me is that it's a simplistic mind. We're trying to clear out the old belief systems, clear out, the old structure, let go of the old trauma. We're trying to empty our minds out so that we can be clear. And we're
Mm,
not thinking about what happened yesterday. And we're not focusing on, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. What happened when I was 10? Oh, blah, blah, all this stuff. Or what do I have to make happen in the future? What do I
mm,
have to force to happen? I want to have a relationship, so I'm going to figure out how to have a relationship and I'm going to push and pull every way I can in order to make that happen. When in the way that the universe is lining us up is to be right here in the present moment and to be focused right here, right now, so that you're not projecting in the future. You don't have
mm,
expectations. You're allowing everything to unfold with grace and ease.
mm.
So the more that we can be present, the more that we start recognizing, wow, this person just called me and it was the perfect person that I needed to talk to in order for this to happen, that's going to carry into my future. Oh, how did that happen? And I didn't have to do anything.
I love
So,
those synchronicities when they happen.
yeah. Well, and so when we can get out of our minds and stop trying to project into the future, you start
Mm,
recognizing, I'm getting a nudge to call somebody. I'm getting a nudge that I need to do something. I'm getting a nudge and needing to learn some new technique, whatever it may be. And you're going to find that everything is going to be put in place and everything is going to come to us and through us, and we're going to get all of our answers always. But learning how to trust that is the
mm,
hardest thing for a human because we've been so conditioned to be in control. And
mm,
that's where the problem is. And that's why it's hard to surrender.
mm. How can we decipher between like our intuition and just our 3D like messages and then channeled information that might be coming through. Like how, and I love the fact that you said you can't access your records because I can get a million messages from other people and then I go, okay, guides, and it takes me like 30 minutes to drop in. I might ask one question, I might get like one word answer, and then I go, is that right? So tell me a little bit about how do we, because I wonder. I know that there was one person I did get a reading from, and it was like she was cut off from my records. And then she just told me all this stuff, and I was like, that did not feel true to my heart.
Yeah.
So like I think some people are not quite connected. What's your opinion on that? What?
Well, that's a really tricky question, actually, because there's so many things that can be involved. And
Mm,
if I'm getting cut off from your records, something is serving as an interference. It might be the sense because you're feeling protected and maybe you're
mm,
creating a barrier so that I
mm,
can't access your
mm.
information, or it's a
Ah,
challenge to. Maybe I won't be able to get as deep
mm,
as what I could when you're surrendering to the situation, which is
mm.
common. And people don't know that, if you go into a reading for the fun of it and you're testing somebody,
Yeah, you
like how
never.
many times I'm just going to see. I don't believe it. I'm just going to try it and I'm just going to see because I don't think it's really going to happen. And the second that you go into a session, especially which I can tell, I'll just speak for myself. If you come in with that energy with a session with me, I can immediately feel my heart tighten up and I
Mm,
can feel my body close up and I feel your energy.
mm,
And it creates a barrier. So I may not be able to get into because you're creating the blockage. Now, if you come in as like, oh, I am so open to whatever you have to say, and I'm willing to hear and accept, well, you don't have to accept it, but, willing to hear what I have to say, and you come in with an open heart, then I can get deep, 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 deep into
mm,
whatever you need to know. So a lot of times that can be the barrier. But
Mm.
there's a lot of things that I practice very hard in doing. And number one is staying out of my ego, staying out of my mind, and being able to surrender and set my mind aside and allow the information to flow through without a filter. And a lot of people can't do that. Again, remember, I've been doing this for a very long time, and these are the lessons that I've learned. The other thing is that I'm very careful on the information that I consume because I don't want to listen to what somebody else has said and have it in my subconscious somewhere and then find myself tapping into my subconscious and I'm repeating the words that somebody else said. I don't want to take that chance. And it may affect me and it may not. But I don't want to try and find out.
Mm.
And so I try to keep myself as clean as possible so that whatever comes through me is of the purest nature. I
Mm.
feel very strongly in that. I feel very strongly in being able to separate your mind and allowing the information to come through as a clear channel. It's very important. You tell me a story about this is the easiest thing that I can think of, maybe an abusive relationship, and you're trying to figure out if you want to stay in the relationship or separate from it. I have to be very careful not to let my mind say, well, yeah, get out of the relationship, why would you stay in it? And I know people do this.
Mm.
They let their own personality get in, and that's the message that comes through.
Mm.
And this is dangerous for me to do that. It is
Mm.
never my place to put my own thoughts. And I've found that luckily that I mean I've had my mind's thought patterns come in, and a lot of times this is a perfect example when I do classes that I have a topic and I know what this is going to be. I know what they're going to say about this, and I have the idea in my mind. And then I'll start the class, and there'll be stuff that comes out of my mouth, and I was like, well, okay, well, I didn't expect that. Not what I was expecting, and this is completely off topic from what I was thinking the topic was going to be.
Mm.
And so it really is important for me to surrender to the message and not let my mind think that it has the answer, because
Mm.
you'd be surprised how many times I've been wrong. Probably 99.9% of the times when I think that I know the answer and the message comes through completely different from what I think. And
Wow.
so whoever you're working with, I think that it's really important to learn how to surrender your mind, your ego, and stay in the truth and the existence of what is actually being provided. Now, with that being said, too, I know that our messages come through in a way that we can understand them. That's why I got the airplane scenario, because I can understand that. It makes complete sense. If they would have explained it in a different way, it may have been confusing, but a different way of explanation may fit you better. So I do know that the way that we receive information is more of the way that we can understand it. And so when you have five channelers, every person may be saying the same thing, but in different ways. And
Mm.
that's very evident. I mean, if you even listen to anything anymore, I mean, the message is still the same. It's over and
Mm.
over and over again, but it's said differently through every
Mm.
person that's channeling it.
Mhm. Can you go back to explain the airplane scenario? Because I know we had that conversation in my session, but I loved the way your analogy of what you talk about the airplane, like as the pilot and the soul and how the information. Would you explain that to the audience, what you mean by that in terms of
Yeah.
how it comes in?
Yeah. So again, we're serving as the airplane, and the soul is our pilot, and the Akashic masters are the control tower.
Mm.
And so the direct connection between the soul and the control tower is what helps guide us. And so the control plan, I can't even say it as control panel is what I was going to say. The control tower is what holds our soul's plans. They're the ones that hold all the information, where we're supposed to go, where we've been, they hold everything. And so when the soul needs help or assistance in directing the human, the plane, wherever it needs to go, it has direct communication to the control tower. And when the control tower knows that the soul needs help or assistance, the control tower brings in the assistant, the helpers, the guides to make sure that everything is in play exactly as it needs to be in order for us to complete our path, our mission, our destination. But also that 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 control tower also understands all of these things that create synchronicity, that all of, for one event to happen in our world, in this world, we don't ever do anything independently. There is so many, it's the 6 degrees of separation. It's these things that there's so many things that have to happen on so many different levels and layers that all of our guides and our masters are constantly shuffling and putting things in place to make sure that the events that need to happen happen. And when me as a human has a human thought and decides to, even though my gut and everything is telling me that I need to turn right, no, I refuse. I'm going to turn left instead. Okay, well, I just got off the path. Now everything has to restructure and reorganize, put everything back in place again because Kathy and Bob have to meet each other, and we've got to figure out now she didn't go right. So we got to figure out how to restructure and make it happen again because Bob is going to be a key player in Kathy's life, and they've got an interaction that has to happen. And so
Mm.
it's so multidimensional and so intertwined that our human minds can't really understand how all of this works. But I think every one of us could understand that we've had things that have happened in our lives that we don't necessarily understand. Wasn't it interesting that that person came into my life and they said exactly the right thing that I needed to hear in order to see something in a different perspective? And then you
Mm.
may not ever even see that person ever again,
Mhm.
but they came at the right time in the right place. And wasn't that interesting? Well,
It's
again, thanks,
so
guides.
interesting. I love that. And how do you encourage people to just tap into those synchronicities and understand that they're getting these nudges all the time? Like, is there a process that you recommend people?
Yeah, let go. Again, it's the same thing. Again, get out of your head and stop trying to analyze everything. But
Yeah.
more, really, more precise information is learning to get more in tune with your body. Learn to get
Mm,
more in tune with your senses.
mm,
Get out of your head more. We get messages all the time. Whether it's something that, you're all in your head and you're looking down at the ground and you're serious thought, and then you hear a hawk fly over and you hear him chirp, and then all of a sudden it makes you look up and it distracts you from whatever you were thinking, and you can take a deep breath and it changes your way of thought. Well, thank you, hawk. Thank you for being my guide and helping me change courses here. I mean, it's so many things that we take for granted or that we don't ever recognize that we're getting these signals all the time. It can be something that, you pick up an apple and you feel a vibration from that apple and your body shifts. Maybe it's the vibrational frequency that had to create something that was more in balance in your heart, and that apple was the guide or the helper, that helped you get that way. And the old scenario, numbers, oh my gosh, how many times license plate numbers, billboards, all these things. But the point is that we're so disconnected with our bodies, and we're
mm,
stay so in our heads that our guides are talking to us constantly, and we're so immune to it because we're so stuck up here that we're not paying attention to the gentle nudges, to that thought of, I feel like I need to go to the grocery store today. I don't feel like it. I don't want to, but you need to go. I don't want to, but you need to go. So we ignore it. And so it's like starting to learn to really pay attention to the subtleties, the subtle knot in your stomach, the subtle, sudden little tightening in your heart, or the expansiveness in the heart. What's happening? What's making you feel this expansiveness that is creating this place of
mm,
peace? What's going on around you? So it's really important to get more in tune with our physical bodies, and again step out of our minds and really listen to what's going on around us in our environment.
mm. I love that. I really love that. Can you help people tune into, like, can the guides come and tell people, oh, actually, we're sending you songs, and you're just missing them. Like, does that information come through for you, like in terms of how they're giving messages to people?
It could, yeah,
Yeah,
if
wow.
somebody asked the question, but it really is, it's so simple. It really is
I
just so
know it's so,
simple.
it is
You
really
know,
simple. Yeah, it's
again,
so,
it's just the point of learning how to feel your body when it tightens up
mm.
or when it opens up, and and feeling these little nudges of turn, 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 and the little voice that's inside your head that says it's time for you to start writing a book or whatever, get creative, or these little
Mm,
things that gently nudge us all the time, but we're so stuck in our heads. Again, we are a fight or flight society. And
mm.
we're constantly staying in this fight or flight mentality of got to do, got to do, got to do. What's the next thing on my list? What do I have to do tomorrow? What happened yesterday? All of these things that we stay so in our head that we don't allow the messages to come through. So the more quiet that we can get, that old thing about doing meditation, the more that we can learn how to quiet our minds and get present, the more that we can observe, the more that we can start feeling those nudges, the more that we can start feeling our bodies, the more that we can start hearing the birds sing to us, feeling the breeze that causes us to look a certain way to get an intention of something that you needed to see. It's these little subtleties that we take so for granted that if we could start really paying attention and reacting to these subtleties, then our life begins to flow. It's and what I'm seeing is a river, and it's like this river of guidance, and we just have to get still and sit in the middle of the river and get with the flow instead of trying to paddle upstream and fight it.
Such beautiful wisdom, Lisa. It's just, your energy is so beautiful. I can feel it. And as you're speaking and giving this incredible information, I hope the audience can feel this. And it's a transmission because my whole body feels expanded as you're speaking. So it's so beautiful, Lisa. Yeah, I think, yeah, I know you're booked out till December. You're probably already booked out now till January since I checked last. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason you are and you do a lot of sessions, you do a lot of one-on-ones, and you've got some events coming up. But what else is something that you're excited about in the next few months coming up?
Well, November, you're in Australia, so that's hopefully people around the world are hearing this. But in November, November 14th to the 16th, I'm going to be participating in an event called the Channel Panel, and it's going to be in Princeton, West Virginia. And this is a beautiful group of channels, and a lot of it's going to be galactic-y. So it's really going to be fun, and I'm so excited to be a part of that. But anyway, so it'll be November 14th through the 16th. So if anybody can make it, I'd love to see you
Wow.
there.
So that's an in-person
Then
event. Will it be
it is,
streamed
yeah,
online as well?
it will.
Oh,
Yeah, it will.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And you can go to my website, which is lisawetzel.com. And if you click on the events tab, then the link to get to that is in that event section.
Amazing.
And
And
you
I'll
can
put
just
all
click
those.
the link and then yeah, and then you can get to find out more information. But there are streamed events as well.
Oh.
So there's going to be the presenters will do a panel. Um, the channel panel, the panel.
I love
Um,
it.
um, yeah, and I'm actually going to be on the channel panel on Friday, and then I'm having a workshop on Sunday. So most of the presenters or the channel panel people are going to have workshops as well, and so they'll be over the 3 days. So the panel is going to be streamed, and but I don't think the workshops are.
Do you teach people how to do the Akashic Records as well? Are you a
No, yeah,
I
and the reason why is again, I'm working on doing a intuitive class, talking just about like what we just talked about, but I seem to be procrastinating a little bit. But anyway, that's beside the point. But I do not teach the Akashic Records because I don't feel like I'm the best teacher. I don't feel like I can't if you're not already intuitive. I can't teach you how to be intuitive
Mm,
in a short period of time when we're learning or trying to teach you how to open up the records. But there is a number of very, very qualified people that teach the Akashic records and how to open
mhm,
them. I just don't feel that that's my niche. So
mm,
I'm not going
mm.
to do it if I don't feel like I'm the best
Well, you're
at it.
so busy. You're actually a beautiful podcast host as well, and your YouTube channel. You ask amazing questions. You have a great, amazing guest. So all those links will be in the show notes down below. Um, I was lucky enough for you to interview me, so I'm yeah, I was very grateful.
Yeah.
Your incredible questions and just the way you your presence is you just feel like I can just feel like I can be relaxed and authentic. So that's your talents as a host. So that's been which is why you ended up agreeing to be on my channel. So I'm so grateful. Is there any other words of wisdom you'd like to leave the audience with?
Um, so what's coming to me is that find your love. And
Oh,
there's what we want you to recognize is that each and every one of you is the fullest capacity of love. And what we are hoping for all humans to recognize is the truest connection between the heart, the soul, and the wisdom of the universe. And this is what we want you to know today.
that's so beautiful. That's given me goosebumps. Thank you so much for your time today, Lisa. I know you're so busy, and so I appreciate you coming on my little channel
Well,
here.
it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm very
You're so,
grateful.
thank you so much. Okay.